Well, many survivors and victims of the Marikana massacre are yet to get the closure that they so desperately seek. Some say that they are still waiting for justice following the deadly events 10 years ago. 44 people were killed overall during weeks of that wage strike at what was then Lonmin Platinum Mine. For more on this, let's speak to Analyst and Social Development Facilitator, Dr. Ntlhopeng Dikobe. Dr. Dikobe, very good afternoon, well, good evening, and welcome to the program. Why has justice been so evasive for the people of Marikana?
Good evening to you and the viewers. If you look into the case of Marikana, it's true that the people have lost lives, and we need to see Department, especially of Justice, being able to move according to the pace in which it must address the challenges which the people are experiencing within the mining sector, particularly in the case of Marikana, because we call that in Marikana, people lost lives, children do not have fathers, so there is a need that we must move with a faster pace to make sure that at least in the end we find closure to ensure that everyone who is aggrieved by this matter find closure on it.
And the commemoration, as we saw today, is still led by AMCU, which of course was the union that led that strike, even some members leaving the NUM at the time because they felt that union was not moving fiercely enough on their wage demands and conditions of living, right, as employees at the mines. But today still, AMCU basically stood alone, flanked by the survivors and families of the victims and political leaders such as Bantu Olomisa from the UDM. Still no ANC presence. The president of the party and the country, Cyril Ramaphosa, has still not gone to Marikana as he promised that he would do. Will there ever be a time where the presence of the ANC there and its president is acceptable?
There must be a time. Let me first start with what is transpiring within the labor movements. My view is that, in the case of Marikana, because remember that it is a tragedy, all labor movements who are affected and not affected must come together to commemorate what took place there, because by commemorating it, it will make sure that at least you lay the very good plan, which will be able to address this and keep it in case it occurs in the future. So my view is that all labor movements must be united and make sure that they stick together by raising issues that have led to the Marikana tragedy. In terms of the political parties, my view is that, sometimes we must forget about the ideologies that we stand for as the political parties, but look on what the pain that took place there. In the African way, if there is a pain, people must come together and grieve and make sure that we find comfort. So if they unite, it will really assist that as the country, we are able to map a very clear way forward in terms of this. Forget about the political party's identity. Right. Forget about ideology, but focus on what happened because it is a social matter. But this also poses a challenge to the programs of the government in terms of social cohesion, whether is it a lip service or is something that is feasible. And I can assure you that in terms of what I see, there is little that is being done practically to make sure that there is social cohesion. Move, these borders to make sure that we are together and address these challenges.
You mentioned ideology. Let me quote to you then part of what the AMCU leader, Joseph Matundra, said today when he addressed the commemoration. He said, "We can have all the investment in the world, but without a radical revolution of value, we are going nowhere." Is that a revolution, should it happen, that'll be led by labor, just when you consider the broader context of South Africa, where people are becoming increasingly frustrated and angry at the socio-economic conditions?
I hear what you are saying, but I slightly differ with the leader of AMCU in the sense that in this case, you would need a capable state that is able to implement its policy. Because if you look into the policies and the legislations that we are currently having, they have, ability to resolve the challenge that we are having. The only problem, to me, is where it should be implemented. That is where we are experiencing the challenge. So I really believe that we need a capable state that will be able to make sure that all these challenges are addressed. Because if you think of the socio-economic challenges that are currently, taking place, especially in the host communities of the mines, they are really very painful because people live in abject poverty in such areas, especially the host communities. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, my view is that when you look into the mining industry as a sector, they do view the host communities and the stakeholders related to as the irritants, not as the important stakeholders who are able to make sure that they can work together to address the socio-economic challenges. You recall that if you think of the mining sector and the communities, when the mine starts, there is a hope by the host community that you are going to see transformation and development in that area. Unfortunately, the paradox takes place because you see the contradiction of what the community is expecting. So to me, it's a dream of the host communities being deferred because they benefit little or nothing. If they benefit, it's more of the PR exercise where mining company will come and launch a smaller project, which will be able to, to look like the mining sector is doing enough to address the socio-economic challenges in that area. Right. But the truth is that little is done.
Dr. Ntlhopeng Dikobe, Analyst and Social Development Facilitator, good to have your time tonight, so thank you.